Good morning everyone, this is the Volkswagen ID.3 GTX Performance Fire and Ice, and today we're going to do a range test at 130 kilometers an hour. Now, this is the same car when it comes to technology as the normal Volkswagen ID.3 GTX Performance. Fire and Ice is just a design thing, but I have never tested a GTX Performance in the winter, and it's -7 or -8 degrees right now. I charged the car at home, preheated while it was plugged in, drove here, preheated the battery. The time wasn't enough. It said an hour to preheat because the car was in the cold for 2 days. So I also yo-yoed it. So full power, full regen, full power, full regen 10 times or so, and it's still only at 80% temperature right now, but it's fine for the consumption. But when we come back to the charger, I will still preheat the battery, but that's what you do in the winter anyways. When I plugged in at 86% or so, I used 14% for 25 kilometers. I got 50 kilowatt, and I'm still getting 48 kilowatt at 94%. This is a 79 kilowatt hour battery, rear wheel drive 240 kilowatt, that's power. But we're not gonna use power. It has a heat pump, which is important in this cold. We see how the range is. I am on my way, and I'm driving 133 on the speedometer. That's 130 GPS speed. Beautiful head-up display, the nice cockpit. I have my driving data in here. I reset my driving data. I'm in comfort mode. I had the heat on while the car was charging. Battery is at optimal temperature. Of course, it will get cold again. But for driving, that means it has low resistance and the consumption is better. And I also want that for every car that when I drive, I try to preheat the battery that it is a good temperature. Consumption is gigantically high because first 10 kilometers uphill, accelerating, and still heat and everything. Already used 5% of the battery, that's the stuff. I have my heat on 23 degrees and auto middle airflow. I know everyone is always complaining. He says a winter jacket on and then 23 degrees. It doesn't feel that way. So it doesn't feel like it's 23 degrees in here. I wouldn't have my jacket on if it would be that warm. It's just trying to get to the 23 degrees. And by the way, when I tested the Tesla Model 3 2 weeks ago, I also needed 22 degrees. So it's not gigantically different. It does heat better though, the Tesla, I have to say. But like I said, I'm in comfort mode and we're gonna have some fun. I have used 25% of my battery, drove 64 kilometers, only 64 kilometers, so I get to a full range calculated of 265 kilometers. Consumption is pretty high, 29.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I mean, as a comparison, Model 3 2 weeks ago at -9, -10 degrees, so colder than now, had 23.3. So this is high consumption, and it's just the cold, and so you can understand how a Volvo EX30 all-wheel drive can have over 30 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I even turned down the heat and my seat heater and the airflow because it's fine. but still this is high consumption at -6 degrees. The coldest I've seen so far was -6.5, the warmest -4.5 or so, and dark. How is the Volkswagen ID.3 fire and ice on the highway when you drive 130? And well, as I said already with the GTX and the GTX Performance, when you get the 20-inch wheels, and this has 20-inch winter tires on, 215s, it is less comfortable. So I feel a bumpiness that I don't feel in a normal ID.3 with 19-inch wheels, or with, I don't even know if I ever driven a 20-inch that didn't have sport tires. But it is a bit more on the jumpy side. It's not so amazing. Loudness is not amazing, but okay. The seats, I'm not a fan of the sport seats of the ID.3. I like the normal seats better. I find them a bit hard. Seat heater is good though, by the way. I don't need that anymore. Yeah, and the consumption is a bit high. I'm not so positive with the car today. It looks stunning, but the drive is, yeah, like I said, a bit noisy, not horrible, a bit bumpy. Consumption is high. Goes down a bit right now, the consumption. We'll see. And it's getting light. Yeah, I can see stuff. That's awesome. My battery temperature. Ooh, already a bit cold. Already needs 18 minutes to warm up the battery. And by the way, it would help me a lot if you would like this video and maybe subscribe. So many viewers are not subscribed and they don't notice if a new video is uploaded. I used 50% of the battery and our range increased. I drove 133, almost 134 kilometers. So we get to 266 kilometers, 10 kilometers more than before, which is good. My heat is now at 22 degrees, no seat heater. Still -6 degrees though, and the drive is amazing. It's not that busy. I can keep the 133 the whole time when I'm allowed. I turn around, navigate it back to the charger. I should arrive with 12%. That's okay. Consumption, yeah, is about the same that we had before. It doesn't change, but it will go a bit down. The last 10 kilometers are downhill, which is good. And if you want to know what's happening behind the scenes, I started vlogging on my third channel, Behind the Battery. So everything that happens around the car, or if I get new info about something, really awesome. Subscribe and watch. I used 75% of the battery, drove 200 kilometers, average consumption 28.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We have another 39 kilometers to go. This is cool, and it's warmer, -3.5 degrees. If you want to charge for free, there's an easy way to do that with Encharge. Encharge is an app, you install it on your phone, and when you are at a charger, you rate the charger. You give Encharge the information that they want. For example, if you can charge with a camper attached, if is there somewhere where kids can play, can you go to the toilet, can you get food and stuff like this. And Encharge for exchange gives you kilometers and stars. And these you can exchange for charging credit. A new feature now in France and Germany, you can use the charging credit right in the app and charge somewhere. Amazing. Use the link in the description below to get 20 kilometers to start with. And if you want to support the channel, you can do that here on YouTube via channel membership, but you also get something for it. You get early access to videos and of course early access to information if something is happening. I arrived with 10%. This is my driving data and it's again -6 degrees. So I calculated the range and I get to 267, almost 268 kilometers of range. With the 79 kilowatt hour battery, consumption was pretty high. Of course, in the end, it got a bit higher with the battery heating, but just for comparison, I did the same with the Model 3 2 weeks ago, so there's no excuse. It's just a higher consuming car, even though this is the better motor, it's just the form and everything, and it has a heat pump. I'm gonna charge now to 80% and do my next range test. I'm getting 187 kilowatt, that's what it should be. But the amps are already going down, so I think this was the peak. If you want to compare range results, in the link, there's a link in the description below to a Google spreadsheet where all my range tests and my long distance tests are there, so you compare the different cars. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, BatteryLife1. But that's it for me. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.